Hello.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Wine Talk. We are welcome to Sam Jose. I am Sam, and this is
Jose.
And we are joining you this evening to discuss cruise stories. This whole episode's about cruising, but first, let's get to our wine. Tonight we are enjoying a bottle of quarter cut wine, bourbon barrel aged wine from California. Now, this particular wine you can buy at Aldi. It is an Aldi exclusive. Now, one of the reasons why I purposely picked some wines from Aldi is to just discuss the fact that Aldi has some exclusive wines that are fairly well priced, that are incredibly delicious. So it's important to note that you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money on a bottle of wine to get a quality product. Yep. And some of all these wines we've had have been just as good, if not better, than some of these $30, $40 bottles of wine. And this one was $9.99 at Aldi. Actually, I think it was on sale a little bit. I think it was marked down a little bit from that. But this particular bottle of wine, and I just want to touch base on this, there's a couple of things about bourbon barrel aged wines. First and foremost, a lot of wine aficionados, people who really are strict with their wine. Hey, Kim, people that are strict don't think that bourbon barrel aged wines are truly wines. And that's okay that they're not truly wines. A lot of people will say that wineries will age their wines in bourbon barrels to hide deficiencies or flaws in the wine itself. Maybe the wine had too much smoky odors from the fires in California in 2017. They will sometimes say that they'll use those wines for bourbon aged wine because it's a great way to cover up those odors or those flavors of the smokiness from the fires. All of that stuff, the environmental stuff, if it impacts the soil or it impacts the environment of those grapes, that will translate into the flavors of those wines. So that's important to note. The environmental factors are the same. As you guys join on, welcome again. For those of you just joining us, like I said, we are enjoying this bottle of bourbon barrel aged quarter cut Cabernet Sauvignon from California. This is an Aldi exclusive wine. A lot of the wines that we have had expensive wines. We've had medium priced wines. I've never had a truly like $200 a bottle wine. To a certain degree, sometimes they have really like the price is justified if it's a reserve blend and it's a flavor you will never taste again. Most wines, however, it's okay to go with a slightly more affordable bottle as long as it's from a respectable winery. You can always look up wine reviews now online and all that other stuff. Basically, all we're saying is drink what you enjoy because that's all that matters. Don't worry about what this hoity-toity guy. If he said your wine was not good and you enjoy it, who cares about him? He's not drinking your wine. Yep. So, but this one, you can see the nice, deep color on this one. Very deep, almost a purple red there. It's really beautiful. On the nose, I get a little bit of cherry, I guess. There's supposed to be hints of vanilla.
Get a little bit of sweetness in there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of sweetness. The smokiness isn't as heavy as some of the reviews were saying on it, but I'm enjoying it. So again, go ahead, take a look at that wine. And also, what are you drinking? What is your adult beverage of choice? This is Wine Talk, but if you're enjoying another adult beverage, whether that's a mixed drink or a beer, let us know. We love it all and whatnot. So it's just always good to...
Yeah.
Even if it's water, let us know. We enjoy water too.
Water is good. We gotta stay hydrated.
Kim, the sweetness or fruitiness on this one, I would say that the cherry is really heavy on the front, and it carries through. You get a little bit of fruit notes on the back, but it's a medium bodied at best. I don't think it's too heavy bodied, so it's a slightly lighter, especially as bourbon barrel goes. It's not as smoky as some of the bourbon barreled wines I've had before. Yeah, no. So it's actually a pretty smooth, easy drinking wine. I don't know if I drink a lot of bottles of it, but I could finish a bottle of this one by myself probably.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's sharing with me today, huh?
So now that we've covered the wine that we're talking about, and we've talked a little bit about bourbon barrel aged wine, which has really kind of taken off in the past few years, let's go ahead and get to our topic of discussion, which is cruises, cruise ships. So tonight we want to take a kind of a fun spin on it and just bring up some fun scenarios that kind of popped up when we were on the cruise ship. We took 2 cruises last year. One of them was on the Oasis of the Seas, both Royal Caribbean ships, and one of them was on the Independence of the Seas. Now, I did work on Disney Cruise Line for a year, so I do have a lot of experience with the cruise ship environment. And Jose's cruised several times prior to us being together. But we're kind of wanting to
three or four times.
We kind of want to get into cruises a little bit more as we step out of the COVID stuff. So we'll see as what next year has in store for us, but we'll see. But cruising is a great way if you can find a good affordable cruise. And we live so close to Port Canaveral or Fort Lauderdale that it's really difficult for us not to justify some of those really great deals that pop up that are 3 or 4 days. The cruise we took in November was a really good deal, 4-day to Cozumel, and we just booked it because it was that good of a deal. So, but I'm going to turn it over to Jose. He'll tell you kind of about some fun situations that we had.
Yeah, but before I get started, quick hello to Kim, Rhonda, and my mom that they said hi and we didn't really get to say hi. So
hi, everybody.
Hi. Hope your
Thanks
day
for
was
watching
great.
us. Thanks for joining.
And if anybody else is watching, feel free to say hi. Give you a little shout out on that one. But anyways, first story. Let's see. There's so many stories on a cruise ship.
So many stories.
Let's go with Independence of the Seas and the night that there was a meteor shower taking place.
It was cool.
So on our last talk, we talked about people that we met, and we talked about the musicians that we met at the pub, at the bar that we went to. And I think was it her that said it, or it was somebody else?
It was Joy, I think, initially.
Okay.
Oh, and so or Lainey.
Yeah, it was one of the two that we met. So it was about 11 o'clock at night, and they're like, "What are you guys doing later on?" And we're like, "We're just going back to the room." She's like, "Well, in this break, go ahead and go out to the helicopter pad where the helicopter lands, which is in the front of the ship. There's supposed to be a meteor shower taking place, and the skies are really clear, so you should have a great view of the shooting stars." Literally the most amazing thing that we've ever done on a cruise ship was that. Laying down there and just listening to the wind go by, and just the waves just like that, small like water crashing, and you're just staring at this huge black sky, and out of nowhere it's just this whole like streak of light that just out of nowhere just happens. And it was just on and on and on. And it was just really neat.
It was beautiful. And we were just laying on the helideck at the front of the ship, and there's not a lot of lights up there because the bridge, they can't have too many lights because they reflect off the water, and they could create the illusion that something's in the water or something like that. So the front of the ship, they're going to restrict a lot of the lighting up there just for the bridge crew. But yeah, it was really neat. And there were most of them were crew members up on the front because a lot of the guests didn't know.
No.
So there was maybe 4 or 5 other like little small groups, and they ended up filtering out. And at one point, I think it was just us and like 2 or 3 other couples all spread out on the big front of the ship. So
social distancing.
Yeah, at that point, yeah, we definitely were. We were doing it before it was cool.
But it was just a neat experience to.
It was
to
really
see that.
It was really beautiful.
Just, there were like times where I'm like, what? Like it kind of felt like you were floating because there was like you can't really see anything else, and you were just looking straight up into the sky. And I was like, this is so neat.
It was really cool.
I like that.
So my first story, I'm going to get into a little bit of a comical event for the Oasis of the Seas.
You forgetting your passport? Oh no, that wasn't it.
Oh. That video's already up. Everybody knows I already forgot my passport in November. All right.
Moving on. So last year, we planned our Oasis of the Seas trip. He knew we were going on a cruise. We talked about it and everything, but I had planned to propose to him on the cruise. And so about a month and a half or so before the voyage, I'd reached out to Royal Caribbean and talked to someone shoreside to see if there was anything I could do
just small little things as far as the proposal goes. And my whole concept hopefully was to find a really good spot on the ship. I wasn't familiar with it. I'd looked up some maps and diagrams, the floor plans online. So I had a little bit of knowledge of some of the areas that I could potentially propose in. And this wonderful woman from Shoreside, she kind of set things up, and she set up a rose petals and champagne, because we had the drink package, so they were able just to use the drink packages as that for us. And she set up rose petals and champagne in the room on the day that I was supposed to propose. And so the idea was, and it was supposed to be the day in France, Marseille. So that was the third day into the voyage. And I was really stressed about trying to keep him off of the internet or anything, because we didn't have the internet package, because we were supposed to be on a cruise ship. And so I was like, well, he can't access internet, so all I have to do is keep him from checking. Like, hopefully we don't have it when we're in Palma. I can set up the video. So if you haven't seen the video, I set up a whole video on YouTube that all of his friends and family and everybody in the world could watch prior to me proposing. And then I showed him the video, and basically the video was for it was 2.5 years worth of me separating myself from him when we go to concerts or to theme parks or anywhere we go. I'd separate myself from him. I'd be like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. And then I would go. And on the video somewhere, I'd be like, hey, you're here somewhere, but I just wanted to propose to you. So for 2.5 years, I proposed to him. Well, anyway, fast forward to our cruise, and we get on the ship, and I'm expecting the rose petals and everything on the third night. Well, the first night we go... First night on the ship, we're really excited. We walk around, explore. We go to dinner. We go to the show. We went to a comedy show. We come back, and I haven't proposed yet. And there on the bed is all of these rose petals, swans kissing, a bottle of champagne. And I was like, oh. And he's like, oh, this is so nice. And I'm like, I haven't proposed yet. So I played it off, and I was like, oh, I love you, babe. Like, oh, just wanted to, so I can't even remember what I said.
I don't know either, because I was more distracted by the flowers, and then I was like, oh, there's champagne.
I know. Yeah. He was like, oh,
I haven't
champagne.
been drinking martinis for the whole 5 hours before.
So he thought it was just this romantic thing that I did. He didn't know that it was going to happen again. So I was like, okay, well, they planned this. I'm not going to say anything to anybody, because our stateroom host, he was fantastic through this whole voyage. So as far as that is concerned, I had no complaints, because our stateroom host was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I played it off, and we just kind of laughed about it. Well, 2 days later, when I propose, we walk in, and there's rose petals again.
And chocolate-covered strawberries this time.
Because the stateroom host, when we came back on the second day from Palma, he looked at our hands and realized we didn't have rings on. And I could see his face being like, oh. He didn't know any of this was going on. He had no clue.
And then after I think back, and I'm like, no wonder the room attendant was like,
hey, how was your day? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I know.
Good night. And I was like, that was weird.
I was like, oh, he's probably just busy. So then the night I did propose and we had the rose petals, the next day he was like, oh, how's it going? He looked down at our hands and saw the ring, and you could tell a wave of relief came over his face. And I was like, no, you're fantastic. I think I tipped him extra at the end of the voyage. I went down and paid him extra. Because it was just really, it actually added a lot of humor to the situation as far as proposing, because boom, we got rose petals 2 nights. The second time wasn't as much of a surprise, but hey, the first time was a surprise for me too. So
it was nice.
It was nice. It was a surprise for both of us. It made it really interesting.
Yeah, that was a fun night.
That was a fun cruise. All right, now your next story, Jose. Again, before we get into our next grouping of stories, if you are enjoying an adult beverage, please let us know what you're enjoying, even if it's not wine. We do like to touch base about wine at the beginning of this, just because we want our viewers to enjoy wine as much as we do. We love the wine experience. We love incorporating wine into events and gatherings and whatnot. And so basically, wine talk is just what we do with our friends. We like to sit down and have a glass of wine and just chat about life. And here we're chatting about traveling and seeing the world and meeting people. So yeah, cruises can be fun.
Yeah. All right. So before I start my story again, I know that there was a couple of people, Brenda. Hi, Brenda. Candace. Hi, Candace. And I think Jake was also watching a little bit earlier.
Sweet.
I don't know if he's still on, but I did see a little notification that he
Kim's
came up.
enjoying some Chablis from Lakeridge Winery. Fantastic. It's one of our favorites.
Okay. So next story. Let's go with Oasis. Okay. So Oasis of the Seas. One of the things that I wanted to do on that ship, one, it was actually to get on the ship because it was huge. First ship I actually went on was Independence of the Seas, which at that time it was the second largest, and then Oasis was the largest at that time. So it was actually kind of neat to go back to Independence, but then also ride
on Oasis.
Go on Oasis, and see that, because I remember seeing Oasis like sailing away while I was on Independence one time.
Such a big ship.
It is huge. You don't think it's that big when you see it from afar, but when you're up close, it's really big.
When you're on it, it's big.
But anyways, one of the cool things that I liked about that ship is that they had this bar that is called the Rising Tide Bar. Basically, it's in the
Royal Promenade.
Yeah, that I was like, what's the name of that again? So it's in the Royal Promenade, but it literally goes up between 3 or 4 floors, I think.
Yeah.
And it takes you, like, it goes really slow and it goes up while you're there with your bartender, and there's tables and you can sit and you can just go up, and then it takes you out to.
You can get off there.
To Central Park.
Yeah.
Which is a whole entire like garden area that they have on the ship.
It is central. It's flowers at sea. It's beautiful. Like they have a whole central. It's a garden at sea.
And it's all real plants. It's not fake. It's trees, real plants. They have butterflies and everything.
A floral wall all the way up the side. It's gorgeous.
That was one of our favorite spots.
That is actually where I ended up proposing.
Yeah. But the Rising Tide, it was really fun because when we got on the ship, we're like, okay, well, where do we go and get a drink while we wait for our room to be ready and all this stuff? So I'm like, oh, cool. There's the Rising Tide Bar. So we get on a thing and we go talk to the bartender, and we sit down, and after a few minutes she comes and starts talking to us. But then like there's these people that like wanted to get on, but she was like, I don't really feel like doing. She's
like,
anything.
I don't want to let anybody else on.
Yeah. So she's like. So she just goes, boop, hits a button, and then closes the door, and then we just start going up.
We were the only ones on the bar.
So then we get up all the way to the top after talking to her for, 15 minutes that it takes.
She had sped it up, so it wasn't the full 30-minute thing. It was 20 or 15 or 20 minutes. So we were only on it for about 35, 40 minutes.
And then she, like, once we were on the top, she was like, did you guys want to come back down in case anybody else gets on? We just do it now. So she didn't even open the door. She's like, let's go back down.
She's like, boop, 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 and we went down.
Yeah.
And then she's like, you want anything else to drink?
Yeah. So I think we had like 3 drinks from her. And she was great because we got to know her personally. And, one of the things that I like to do on a cruise ship is not talk about what you do on the cruise ship. It's more of where are you from? What's your family? Where's your family from? What does your family do? And all that stuff. Kind of get them to talk about something different than just work. Mm-hmm. So it kind of brings them a little bit of a smile to their face, and they get to know us personally as well. They get to, why are you guys recording? Well, it's for our YouTube channel. And then they actually follow as well. And it's just a lot of fun to talk to them. But that was one of my like favorite times, is just her closing the door and other people that was just like, okay, we'll be right back. Boop. And we just take off. It was. But if you're ever on one of those ships that has the Rising Tide Bar, stick around when the bar actually goes to the top. There's actually like a whole entire water fountain show that takes place underneath the bar.
It's really cool. The first half of the cruise we were on, it wasn't working, and then they fixed it halfway through. So the first half we didn't know what we were missing, and then all of a sudden we saw it after they fixed it, and we were like, oh, it's cool. If you do want to see what it kind of looks like, we have some shots of it in our Mediterranean voyage videos on YouTube. There's 2-part series for the ship itself, and our antics on the ship, and then there's one for each of the ports that we went into. And my last story is going to be on Independence of the Seas, and it was kind of an interesting experience because we've done them before, but Independence of the Seas is equipped with an escape room called the Observatorium.
Ooh,
and it's actually it is it's we've been to several escape rooms here in Orlando, Florida, from several different companies. You've got Escapeology, you've got America's Escape Game, you've got The Great Escape, you've got all of these different ones, and we've done a handful or a few at each of them. One of them, I think we've done all the rooms at the Great America's Escape Game or something. Yeah. But so we're used to escape rooms. Well, I decided to book that one because we liked it, and we went in, and we were with it was a full group of 15 people, I think. So we were with other people
because there were like 2 or 3 people waiting to see if there was room, but they didn't.
So we didn't really know what to expect. We didn't know what this escape room would look like, and we gathered at the bottom of the stairs because it's up at the top of the ship, very top of the ship on Independence of the Seas, and the crew staff came down. She was checking us in, and we were like looking at some of the other people doing this room with us, and we're like, we're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. And
nope.
So we get into the doors open. This, first of all, I just want to say this escape room, whoever designed it, it's beautifully designed. It's got so many intricate pieces and just things to look at that have nothing to do with the room. So as far as extra stuff, it's really great.
Yeah.
It's got some audio elements that were a little difficult, but challenging in a good way. So we went ahead and we listened to
you have to work as a team.
You really do.
Because the ones that are like, you have to work as a team, you don't really have to, but this one, you really had to. Yeah. Like, you needed a leader to actually be like, guys, just shut up so we can hear this.
So, and that's almost how it worked, because we got in there, and he and I, we're very used to escape rooms, and we've done them with people we didn't know before. We've been placed in rooms, because that's how they book them. Well, that's how they used to book them. I think now you can book private rooms because of COVID and all that other stuff. So as they reopen, some of their practices are changing, at least here in Orlando. So we'll see how that translates across the board. But the one on, escape rooms are amazing, right, Candace? So the thing that was really great about this room was it actually brought the group together because it forced us to.
Yeah.
And there was all these different elements, and we got out of the room with seconds to spare. Somehow we made it, and it was a really challenging room. And what was really funny, one thing I just wanted to note, one of the girls in one of the families, she was a teenager, you had to find all of these different statues in the room that corresponded with different zodiac things as far as the observatory, because there's this giant telescope in the middle of the room. And you had to line up these things and figure it all out to basically save the planet, because of course it's an escape room. So they're going to shove 15 people in a room, and they have to solve this problem to save the planet, because that makes sense. But it was beautiful. And but this teenage girl, like, one of the guys, like, oh, we got to find the horse. And I just remember her like stepping on it, like yelling at the whole room, it's a unicorn. It was just so funny because it was a unicorn statue, and it was like you kept referencing it. And so he's like, well, we got to find the horse. And she kept going, it's a unicorn. We got to find the horse. It's a unicorn. And then finally the guy's like, oh, well, it's a horse. And she goes, it's a unicorn.
It was like the loudest thing that you heard. We're all like so focused, and we're like, okay, what do you do? And then you just hear, it's a unicorn. And I'm like,
it's a unicorn. It was so funny.
We were like, all right. And then the girl that was actually running the show, she's like, and she was right. It is a unicorn. It's like, you should have listened to her in the first time she said it.
Yeah.
It is a unicorn.
It's a unicorn.
She's like, thank you.
I know. Thank you. So, yeah, we've had some really good times on the 2 cruises that we've taken altogether. 2 weeks, 14 days. Yeah, 2 weeks on cruise ships together. I lived for 11 months on a ship altogether, I think.
I love cruises. I mean, I don't want to work on one, but I do.
I don't want to do it again. No.
But I do love the experience of a cruise ship, and every single ship has something different to offer. So just because, sorry, just because you had a bad experience on one cruise ship does not mean that you're going to have a bad experience in another one. So don't think that it's just
every cruise is different. They have different offerings. They have different shows. They have different staff. They have, even between cruise lines, they have different practices. So if you don't like something on Royal Caribbean, try Norwegian. Or if you're bougie and you have the money, try Disney. Or if you know cast members, you can get friends and family, do Disney.
Disney on celebrity one.
Disney really does have a really good guest experience, because I've cruised as a guest and I've worked on Disney Cruise Line. And then Royal Caribbean, they have some flaws in their system. I think executively they're a little disconnected, but overall the experience was a quality experience. I think there's just a lot of great opportunities on a ship because you can go see the world without discomfort. You know what I mean? And we love our comfort.
Even if you just need to, like, you plan on visiting some place and you're like, I'm not really sure if I want to go to that place, and there's a cheap cruise that stops there for one day.
Yeah,
just go on that cruise and check it out.
That's exactly what we did. So Chichen Itza. So our cruise in November, we booked it because it was a really good deal. But we wanted to see Chichen Itza, so we literally took that cruise just to go to Chichen Itza. So we didn't have to worry about airfare and hotels and all that other stuff. We just booked the cruise and the excursion, and then we worried about the rest on the ship.
I'm just upset that I didn't get tacos in Mexico.
No.
We didn't have time.
We were on a bus the whole day, and then some ruins. So, but it was an amazing trip, and our cruise in Europe was amazing, and we're looking forward to getting back on ships.
Can't wait.
Hopefully you feel the same way, comfortable with cruising. I will say this, having worked and lived on a cruise ship, it is probably one of the cleanest environments, at least as far as Disney's concerned, for sure. Royal Caribbean, what I saw of their ships and the back of house stuff we saw just from passing and whatnot, I would expect that their standards are probably as high as Disney, if not equal. So I will cruise again. I have no problems with that. And I'm sure most avid cruisers will still, if you're trying Disney.
I mean, it's not really bougie. They're just kind of a little bit overpriced.
They're 3 or 4 times more expensive than any other cruise line. So I think that's it for this episode. I want to thank you all. We want to thank you all for joining us and for continuing to watch these episodes. It's been really great to connect with you all, talk about wine and traveling. It's been really great. And a little bit of us. I think when we first started the series, we were kind of just connecting with people, trying to keep up conversation and making them feel like they had someone to connect to during this time. So hopefully you're all doing well. And as states reopen, as businesses reopen, you all have strength there, at least within your own groupings or support system, to help continue guiding you through this or supporting all of us through this. So if you need anything, you know us, let us know. We'll do what we can to help you. And we just want to thank you. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe to our videos. We really want to continue working on these.
Somewhere down that way, subscribe.
Yeah, maybe.
So
thanks so much, and you have a fantastic Friday, fantastic weekend, and we'll see you on Monday for our next wine talk.
Bye, guys.
Bye.